Hello, and welcome to the first session of the module Advanced Mobile Application Development using HTML5. In this session, you will learn how to connect an HTML5 app with social media, such as Facebook and Twitter, and display selected information from the social media on the app. Let's begin by looking at how Nathan is spending his Friday evening after a hectic day. Nathan wants to party with his friends and decides to surprise them by offering them their favorite drink. He opens the Cork app on his mobile to find out his friend's favorite drink. After deciding which drink to offer, he goes back to the app to find out the wineries near his place from where he can fetch the drinks. As you can see, the Cork app has made Nathan's life really easy. But how do you think Nathan was able to do everything simply by using the Cork app? Let's find out. An API determines how software components interact with each other. The Cork app accesses the APIs of Facebook and Twitter to do some interesting things. Access to Twitter and Facebook APIs allows users to share content with friends and followers and collect data relating to users, such as listing the users who like the new pizza launched by Pizza Hut, shared using Facebook and Twitter. This is what helped Nathan find out his friend's choice of drink. The Facebook and Twitter APIs are platforms for developing applications available to the users of the social networks. The Facebook API uses RESTful protocol and responses are localized and in XML format. From the mobile perspective, the Twitter platform supports APIs for mobile web applications and mobile SDKs for native mobile applications for iPhone, iPad, and Android platforms. After developing a mobile app, you need to add social media capabilities in your app to make it robust. To add social media capabilities to your Cork app, first you need to create a tab in the application to display the feeds from a social network site and create a page in the tab that will display more information on a selected item. Then, you need to connect the application to Twitter by using the Twitter APIs to pull data. Now, let's see how you can create an activity tab in an app. The creation of an activity tab involves writing the query, working with templates, using templates to build the activity feed, and running the script and displaying the results correctly. Let's perform these activities.
Hi, let's continue our discussion. In this session, you're going to understand how to correlate the sample wine application Corks with the social media. You will build an activity tab and wine detail pages where you will write social functions to share the wines on Twitter and Facebook using their search APIs to find out more information about what the people are saying about specific wines. In real life, this can provide you with better outlook on the wines that you have added to your cellar. In Module 2, we had created a Foursquare API to implement the geolocation functionality in the application. In this particular session, we are going to continue with that and add this further. So as you can see in the previous application, we had created the refresh button. Refresh button, when pressed, will once again redraw the number of wine cellars in that locality. However, if you click on the activity button as we are doing now, you're going to see that there is no result right now. Obviously, there's no result. We have not added the suitable code. So how do we add the suitable code? Once again, head off to the session guide. In global.js file, after the existing variable, that is after the line beginning var info window, add the code as documented in the session guide. Because you need to capture when the app first loads, which is an automatic indication the activity is active and that is opening the view, you need to add some code to script to handle the situation. To do this, change the if statement to the elements that you will find on the session guide. Our next step is to build the grab activity function that will basically connect it to database and pull the data into the activities session. So you go ahead and copy the data from the session guide into the global.js file. What this code actually does is that it runs a query to extract the data from activity table sorted in descending order and based on the created at field. It will query the name of the wine, the description, the notes on activity, and quantity of wine in the cellar. Of course, the ID of any activities will also be queried in this place. Now that you have written the query, you can start playing with the results. Similar to the way you dealt with the data coming out of the color table, remember? You tackle the same thing with your activity feed. So go ahead and you can create a simply JavaScript which will take care and put it under the else element. But in real life, it is not recommended that you use the JavaScript as a direct function. There are several templates that are available to take care of our user interface or take care of the complex HTML markup that we exist. In our case, we are going to recommend handlebars.js. This is a library of JavaScript which is called as handlebars. Like you would do for any other library like jQuery, handlebar.js is also accessed using the same content delivery network. In our case, we are going to use GitHub as the content delivery network from where this particular application will be queried. May I point out that in real life you would want to download this query, save it as a local file, and instead of using the URL, you would simply use the file URI. Mind you, one of the advantages of picking the query straight off the content delivery network is that it's always going to be live and you're going to get the advantages of collective intellects of the entire open source community. So let's go ahead and within the header HTML tag, we add this new script called http cloud.github.com under which we will put the handlebars.js/handlebars. At the time of writing of this particular session, 1.0.0.beta.6 is the latest version. Obviously, it would have changed by the time you come to write this application. Go down and define the template structure as a script ID. This allows you to create reusable template that you can reference in the future versions of your activity feed also. And you will not have to come back and rechange this element again. While using templates is a great way to simplify the creation of HTML markup, but sometimes you may want to add some additional logic as well. For example, you may want to add a new class to an element depending on the contents. Traditional template libraries do not have support for logic. That's not true for handlebars.js. In fact, it has helper files that serve logic functions within your application. So let's go ahead and see how do we add the additional functionality of handlebars.js. Create a new file in your assets.js directory called helpers.js and add it inside the head area of as you've done previously with the JavaScript files. Head over to session guide and copy the contents as you see under page 290 and copy and paste the contents over here. As you can see with this code, you're registering a new helper with handlebars called helper name, which can be changed to, of course, anything that you want during your activity. However, the variable x is the data passed to the function. Inside the function, you can perform any activity or function you want based on the logic you need to perform. On the template side, what you need to call is just a curly braces, that's the dual curly braces and each object, or you would be able to call that with the helper name and the object name. As you now have an understanding of templates through handlebars, you can start building a template to generate the activity feed using the steps as defined. First, you need to build a template for your data which you can place in the activity template ID that you built earlier. After you have added this code, place the handlebars.compile script in grab activity function. This function actually does a lot of things. Let's go step by step. The first thing it does is it calculates the number of rows that are available in terms of the result. It creates a variable code that will store the string of HTML being returned from our template. It then calculates the relative time from when you posted the swine to the current time. This is a very interesting one. It is not going to post you the time at which it was posted, but the time difference that has happened. It also assigns an on-click method, which is the view wine, and we'll talk about it later. And then it will talk about the HTML function from jQuery to insert HTML in the my activity list element. Once again, go ahead and place the balance codes defined in the session guide and you can paste it over here. With this done, save your index.html file and refresh your page. So we go to Manage tab and add a couple of wines here. Once you've added the wines, head over to the activity page. Click the refresh button and you should see a screen that tells you the number of wine that you've added recently. But what you see here is that the CSS, that's the cascading style sheet, has not been applied to the content. Your lists are not supposed to look like this. So we go ahead and use something that jQuery Mobile has a special method for defining the dynamic content. To change the previous view, allow the jQuery Mobile to know that you want the My Activity List element to be displayed as a list view. And remember, this is a dynamic list. However, because jQuery Mobile adds most of the classes to the element after the DOM has loaded, you will need a way to refresh the list view after the content has been displayed. To do so, add the code at the end of the for loop. Now save the data and refresh your page. That is it for the Activity tab. You touch base again with this tab later once we decide our wine detail page.
In the next video, we will create the wine detail page.